First contact and betrayal. The United Earth ship Pioneer drifted silently through the void, its sensors sweeping the darkness ahead. Captain Maya Chen stood on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the main view screen as it displayed an unfamiliar star system. After 6 months in deep space, the Pioneer had ventured further than any human vessel before it. "Anything on scanners, Lieutenant Park?" Chen asked, her voice steady despite the tension that had built over the past hour. "Definitely artificial structures in orbit around the fourth planet, Captain," Park replied, fingers dancing across his console. "And confirmation of non-human design principles. This is it, first contact." A hush fell across the bridge. Humanity had speculated for centuries about intelligent alien life. Now, in 2157, the Pioneer crew would be the first to make history. "Open a channel on all frequencies, standard greeting package," Chen ordered. Her heart raced, but her expression remained professional. First contact protocols had been rehearsed countless times, though no one truly believed they'd be used in their lifetime. Hours passed with no response. The Pioneer maintained a respectful distance from the planet, continuing to broadcast peaceful intentions in every conceivable format. Then, without warning, multiple vessels emerged from behind the planet's moons. "Captain, we have 5. No, 7 ships approaching," Commander Rodriguez announced, his voice tense. "Their energy signatures are off the charts compared to ours." Chen nodded, keeping her composure. "Maintain position. Continue broadcasting." The alien vessels surrounded the Pioneer in a formation that could be interpreted as either protective or threatening. They were sleek, with organic curves unlike the utilitarian designs of human spacecraft. "We're receiving a response," Communications Officer Tanaka reported, excitement clear in her voice. It appears to be a translation algorithm. They're giving us the means to communicate." Within hours, the crew of the Pioneer had established basic communication with what they learned was called the Concordat, an alliance of 7 spacefaring species that had been sharing the galaxy for millennia. The aliens expressed surprise at finding humans so far from Earth, having monitored human transmissions for decades without revealing themselves. The next 3 months were a whirlwind of diplomatic exchanges. Captain Chen and a select team shuttled between the Pioneer and the Concordat's orbital headquarters. They learned about the member species, the logical, insectoid Vex, the amphibious, emotionally sensitive Meridians, the avian Krex with their rigid honor codes, and others, each with their own evolutionary path and cultural perspective. They seemed genuinely interested in peaceful relations, Chen told Admiral Winters during their weekly quantum-encrypted communication. "Their technology is centuries beyond ours, but they're willing to share some of it." "Proceed with caution, Captain," the Admiral replied, her wrinkled face serious even through the static of faster-than-light communication. "The Security Council is pleased but concerned about their long-term surveillance of Earth. Why reveal themselves now?" Chen had asked herself the same question. Something about the timing felt deliberate, as if humanity had passed some unseen test by developing limited faster-than-light capability. Behind closed doors, the Concordat's High Council was indeed evaluating humanity, but not as potential equals. Archdelegate Zorix of the Vex studied human history with growing concern. They moved from barbarism to space travel in mere centuries. Zorix clicked to the assembled council. "Their technological adaptation rate exceeds anything we've seen before. And their history, endless conflict driving endless innovation." Meridian Ambassador Tila floated in her hydration chamber, her translucent skin shifting through concerned colors. "Yet they show capacity for cooperation, for art, for sacrifice, perhaps with guidance. Their unpredictability makes them dangerous," interrupted Krex war leader Tall, feathers bristling. "They solve problems through lateral thinking that defies logical progression. In simulation after simulation, human tactics confound our strategic algorithms." The debate continued for weeks while outwardly, the Concordat presented only friendship to Captain Chen and her crew. Technology exchanges began. carefully curated by the Concordat to appear generous while revealing little of their true capabilities. On Earth, the arrival of alien knowledge sparked a renaissance. Clean energy advancements, medical breakthroughs, and improved propulsion systems transformed society almost overnight. 5 new colony ships launched toward promising worlds identified by Concordat star charts. Humanity celebrated its new place in the galactic community. Captain Chen, however, grew increasingly uneasy. During a cultural exchange, she noticed a pattern in the historical archives. Species that developed too quickly or unpredictably seemed to disappear from Concordat records. When questioned, her alien counterparts provided vague explanations about evolutionary dead ends or cultural isolation choices. Chen's concerns reached Admiral Winters, who quietly ordered increased security throughout human space. "Keep smiling at our new friends, Captain," Winters instructed. "But we're accelerating our defense modernization program. Something doesn't add up." 6 months into the official relationship with the Concordat, the attack came without warning. The colony ships, halfway to their destinations, were the first targets. Concordat vessels materialized from hyperspace, weapons already firing. 3 colony ships were destroyed instantly. 2 managed to transmit distress calls before they too fell silent. At the diplomatic station where Captain Chen was attending a summit, the Concordat delegates vanished overnight. By morning, their orbital habitat had departed, leaving only an automated message. "Humanity has been evaluated and found to be an unacceptable risk to galactic stability. Containment protocols are in effect." Chen barely escaped with her crew as Concordat forces swarmed through human space. Pioneer limped back to Earth, its engines pushed beyond safety limits, carrying the terrible news. Earth erupted in panic, then resolve. Defensive fleets assembled around Earth and Mars, but everyone knew they stood no chance against Concordat technology. Military leaders predicted total defeat within months. In a secret facility beneath the Olympus Mons colony on Mars, Admiral Winters convened an emergency council of Earth's brightest minds. Captain Chen was there, still haunted by her role in bringing the Concordat to humanity's doorstep. "We have one advantage," said Dr. Elias Wright, a theoretical physicist whose work had helped develop Earth's first FTL drive. "The Concordat thinks predictably. They assessed us as chaotic, but their response follows logical patterns. We can use that." "To do what?" Chen asked bitterly. "Die creatively. To build something they can't possibly anticipate," Wright replied, activating a holographic display. "Something that combines their technology with human intuition in ways they'd never consider. Something that breaks their rules." The display showed a massive vessel unlike anything humanity had constructed before. It was a battleship, but one designed with a fundamental understanding of both human and Concordat principles, and deliberately violating the latter's technological orthodoxy. "Project Titan," Admiral Winters announced. "Our last hope." As the meeting concluded, news arrived of the first Concordat attacks on Mars' orbital defenses. The window for humanity's survival was closing fast. Earth's nations, colonies, and factions united as never before, pooling resources and setting aside centuries of differences. Captain Chen watched from the viewport as Earth grew smaller behind her shuttle. She was being reassigned to oversee a critical part of Project Titan, hidden deep in the asteroid belt, where the Concordat might not look immediately. "We should have had more time," she whispered, touching the cold glass. On her tablet, reports streamed in of battles lost, outposts falling, and the inexorable advance of Concordat forces through the solar system. But for the first time since the betrayal, Chen felt something beyond despair. Humanity had always thrived when pushed to the edge. Now, at the brink of extinction, perhaps their greatest strengths, adaptation, creativity, and that unpredictable nature the Concordat feared, would be their salvation. As her shuttle docked with the disguised construction facility, Chen caught her first glimpse of the Titan taking shape. Even in its skeletal form, it was like nothing she had ever seen. Not just a warship, but a statement, humanity's answer to the galaxy's attempt to silence them forever. Project Titan rises. The asteroid belt facility, codenamed Forge, hummed with relentless activity. What had once been a mining outpost was now humanity's last hope, hidden among thousands of tumbling rocks between Mars and Jupiter. Captain Maya Chen walked through the central corridor, nodding to engineers and technicians who worked around the clock. Dr. Elias Wright looked up, his eyes rimmed with exhaustion. Once a theoretical physicist with a reputation for eccentric ideas, he now led humanity's most critical technological project. "We've solved the power integration problem," he said, manipulating a hologram to show the Titan's core. "By combining their crystalline energy matrices with our quantum fluctuation principles, we've created something entirely new." "Something they won't understand?" Chen asked, the question that always hung between them. Wright smiled grimly. "Something they'll consider impossible, until it's too late." The Titan wasn't just a larger version of human warships. It represented a philosophical departure from both human and Concordat design principles. Where Concordat technology followed rigid mathematical progressions, each advancement building predictably on established foundations, Titan deliberately incorporated technological leaps that made no sense to conventional thinking. In the adjacent hangar, the physical manifestation of these theories took shape. The Titan's hull was nearly complete, a dark silhouette stretching over 2 kilometers from bow to stern. Unlike the sleek, organic curves of Concordat vessels or the utilitarian designs of human ships, Titan followed an asymmetrical pattern that seemed almost biological in its complexity. "Captain Chen, Admiral Winters is requesting your presence in the Strategic Command Center," a young ensign reported, saluting crisply. The command center occupied what had once been the asteroid's mining operations room. Now it displayed real-time updates from across the solar system, mostly red indicators showing Concordat advances and human retreats. Admiral Winters stood before the main display, her silver hair pulled back tightly, deepening the lines of her face. At 72, she had postponed retirement to lead humanity's defense. Now she looked a decade older. "The Concordat fleet has established a blockade around Earth," she said without preamble. "They're positioning for what intelligence suggests will be a final assault within 2 months. Titan isn't ready," Chen replied, her stomach nodding. "We need at least 3 months, I know." Winters sighed. "Earth's Unified Defense Command is preparing a major counteroffensive to buy us time. All remaining ships, all remaining weapons." The unspoken truth hung heavily between them. It would be a sacrifice play. Earth's defenders would die to give Titan a chance to be completed. "What about the neural integration system?" Winters asked, changing the subject. Chen gestured to a section of the display, showing a spherical chamber deep within Titan's design. "Dr. Wright's team has completed the physical infrastructure. We're ready to begin the consciousness transfer protocol." This was Titan's most radical departure from convention. Its command systems wouldn't be run by computers, or even AI, but by a hybrid consciousness combining human intuition with computational speed. Volunteers with terminal injuries from the war had offered their minds to the project, a sacrifice that still haunted Chen's thoughts. "Then proceed," Winters ordered, "and may God forgive us for what we're creating." 2 weeks later, Chen stood in the neural integration chamber, watching as medical technicians prepared the first volunteer. Commander Sarah Jackson had been a brilliant tactical officer before Concordat weapons shattered her body during the defense of Europa. Now her consciousness would become part of Titan itself. "Are you sure about this, Sarah?" Chen asked quietly, taking the commander's hand. Jackson's eyes, one natural and one cybernetic replacement, focused on Chen. "More sure than I've been about anything, Maya. My body's failing anyway. This way, I can still fight." The procedure took 18 hours. When it was complete, Jackson's body was gone, but her voice emerged from Titan's communication systems, different yet recognizably hers. "It worked," she said, wonder in her synthesized voice. "I can feel the ship. It's becoming part of me." Over the next month, 5 more fatally wounded officers joined Jackson in Titan's neural matrix. Together, they formed a gestalt consciousness that could process information at computational speeds while maintaining human creativity and intuition, exactly what the Concordat feared most about humanity. Meanwhile, Earth fought desperately. The counteroffensive launched with everything humanity could muster: ships, fighters, and even repurposed civilian vessels carrying makeshift weapons. For a brief, miraculous moment, it seemed to work. The Concordat forces, accustomed to logical, predictable human tactics, were caught off guard by suicidal attacks and irrational battle maneuvers. "They've pushed the blockade back," reported Communications Officer Liu from the Forge's command center. "Earth estimates we have 3 more weeks." Chen allowed herself a moment of hope. 3 weeks might be enough. Titan was taking its final form. Weapons systems coming online. Neural matrix stabilizing as the volunteer consciousnesses learned to work as one entity. Then came the reports of Concordat reinforcements, hundreds of ships emerging from hyperspace. Earth's brief advantage collapsed. Within days, the blockade was restored, tighter than before. In Forge's observation lounge, Chen watched Earth on the long-range viewer, a blue marble surrounded by the glittering lights of alien vessels. So close to home, yet unreachable. "We're out of time," she told Dr. Wright when he joined her. "Titan is what it is now. Ready or not." Wright nodded slowly. "The propulsion system is operational. Weapons at 92% capacity. Neural matrix stable. It's not perfect, but nothing ever is," Chen finished. "Especially not in war." The final preparations moved with desperate speed. Titan's remaining systems were brought online. The skeleton crew, all volunteers aware they might never return, ordered and took their stations. As acting admiral following Winter's death during the counteroffensive, Chen would command from the bridge, while the neural matrix handled the ship's core functions. "This is Acting Admiral Chen to all stations," she announced from Titan's command chair. "Prepare for departure." The massive doors of the asteroid hangar slid open, revealing the star-filled void. Titan's engines hummed to life, not with the usual roar of human drives or the silent efficiency of Concordat technology, but with an unsettling harmonic that seemed to vibrate at the quantum level. "Neural matrix online," reported the synthesized voice of Commander Jackson. "All systems integrated. We are ready, Admiral." Chen took one last look at the tactical display showing Earth surrounded by enemy forces. The Concordat believed they had humanity cornered. That victory was a mathematical certainty. They had no concept of what was coming. "Take us out," Chen ordered. "Set course for Earth." Titan emerged from its asteroid cradle, its dark hull absorbing rather than reflecting light. It moved with impossible grace for its size, accelerating without visible engines toward the inner solar system, toward humanity's last stand, toward a confrontation that would either mark humanity's extinction or change the galaxy forever. Behind them, the Forge self-destructed in a flash of light, erasing all evidence of how Titan had been created. There was no going back now. As the massive ship accelerated toward Earth, Chen felt a strange calm settle over her. "Send a message to all remaining human forces," she instructed. "Tell them to hold on. Tell them help is coming." The silent reckoning. The Concordat command vessel, Inevitable Logic, hovered in high Earth orbit, its crystalline structure catching sunlight in prismatic patterns. Archdelegate Zorix of the Vex stood on the observation deck, compound eyes studying the battered planet below. Earth's defenses had proven more troublesome than predicted, though the outcome had never been in doubt. "The final assault preparations are complete," reported Senior Tactician Krell. "Our forces will begin planetary bombardment within 6 hours." Zorix clicked in approval. Soon, the human problem would be resolved. Their species would be reduced to a manageable population, their dangerous technological progress halted, their unpredictable nature constrained. The galaxy would be safe from their chaos. "Archdelegate," the censor officer interrupted, mandibles twitching in agitation. "We're detecting an anomalous energy signature approaching from the direction of the asteroid belt." "Classification," Zorix demanded. "Unknown. It matches no recognized profile." The officer's antennae quivered. "Its movement patterns are irregular." On the main viewing screen, a dark shape materialized against the starfield. Immense, asymmetrical, and moving with a fluidity that defied its size. Tactical systems attempted to lock onto the object, but reported contradictory data, as if the vessel existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously. "Impossible," Krell chittered. "Nothing can move like that at that scale." The TSV Titan approached Earth at speeds that violated conventional physics, its revolutionary propulsion system bending space in ways the Concordat had theorized, but dismissed as impractical. On Titan's bridge, Captain Maya Chen watched as the confused chatter of Concordat ships filled their communication monitors. "They can't make sense of us," she said, a grim satisfaction in her voice. "Their sensor systems are based on predictive algorithms," the neural matrix explained through Commander Jackson's synthesized voice. "We are, by design, unpredictable." The element of surprise had always been Titan's greatest weapon. Not just its existence, but its very nature violated Concordat assumptions about technological progression. Like humans themselves, Titan represented an evolutionary leap rather than a logical next step. "All stations, battle positions," Chen ordered. "Neural matrix, activate defensive countermeasures. We're going straight through their blockade." Concordat vessels scrambled to intercept this unexpected threat. Their formation, perfect for a conventional attack, proved vulnerable to Titan's approach vector. The human ship didn't attempt to avoid the blockade but accelerated directly toward its center. "They're on collision course," Tactician Krell reported frantically. "Evasive maneuvers." But it was too late. Titan didn't collide with the Concordat vessels. Instead, it unleashed its primary weapon system. Not conventional energy beams or projectiles, but controlled quantum disruption fields that temporarily altered the fabric of reality around targeted ships. Concordat vessels found their perfectly calibrated systems malfunctioning as fundamental physical constants briefly shifted in their vicinity. "Impossible," Zorix repeated, watching as 20 ships simultaneously lost power. "This violates all established principles." Chen stood on Titan's bridge, watching the enemy fleet's perfectly ordered formation dissolve into chaos. "Concentrate fire on their command ships," she ordered. "Push toward Earth's atmosphere." Titan's weapons continued firing. Conventional railguns alongside technologies reverse-engineered from Concordat systems and enhanced by human intuition. Where Concordat weapons followed predictable firing patterns, Titan's attacks came at irregular intervals, from unexpected angles, making defense nearly impossible. "Admiral," the neural matrix reported, "we're detecting new Concordat vessels entering the system." "Reinforcements." Chen nodded grimly. They had anticipated this. "Initiate Phase 2. Throughout Earth's orbit, automated drones launched from Titan's payload base. Each carried a miniaturized version of the quantum disruption technology. They dispersed among the stars, creating a chaotic battlefield where physical constants fluctuated unpredictably, an environment where human intuition held advantage over Concordat logic. On the inevitable logic, Zorix faced the unthinkable: defeat. Half the blockade fleet was disabled or destroyed. The human vessel moved with impossible agility, its weapons bypassing shields designed according to immutable physical laws that suddenly seemed mutable. "We must adapt," Zorix insisted. "Calculate new defensive parameters." "We cannot," Krell responded, mandibles clicking in distress. "Their technology follows no recognizable pattern. Each attack varies from the last." For the first time in its long existence, the Vex felt something approximating fear. The humans had done what no species should have been able to do. They had taken a logical, ordered universe and introduced chaos as a weapon. Aboard Titan, Chen made her most daring decision. Set intercept course for the Concordat command vessel. "Admiral, That puts us within range of their entire remaining fleet, her first officer protested. Exactly. Chen's eyes remained fixed on the tactical display. Neural matrix, prepare to execute Protocol Omega. Protocol Omega represented Titan's ultimate weapon, a controlled quantum singularity that could be briefly generated, then collapsed. The technology had been pieced together from fragments of Concordat scientific data, combined with theoretical models developed by Dr. Wright's team. It had never been tested. Titan accelerated toward the inevitable logic, absorbing punishing fire from desperate Concordat vessels. Its regenerative hull, another hybrid technology, sealed breaches almost as quickly as they formed. They're targeting our engines, reported the neural matrix, attempting to predict our evasion pattern. Then don't evade, Chen ordered. Go straight in. The massive human vessel plowed through space, taking hits that would have destroyed any conventional ship. Inside, crew members braced as systems overloaded and compartments depressurized. But Titan's neural core remained protected, the hybrid consciousness continuing to adapt and respond with inhuman speed and human creativity. We are within range of the command vessel, the Matrix announced. Chen took a deep breath. Execute Protocol Omega. For a brief moment, space itself seemed to hold its breath. Then, from Titan's bow, reality folded. A controlled quantum singularity, not large enough to become a true black hole, but powerful enough to distort spacetime, formed between Titan and the inevitable logic. The Concordat command ship, designed according to perfect mathematical principles, could not compensate for the fundamental distortion of space around it. Its crystalline structure began to fracture as gravitational forces pulled it in conflicting directions. Impossible, Zorix whispered one final time as the bridge around him twisted in ways that defied comprehension. The singularity collapsed upon itself after 30 seconds, leaving the inevitable logic broken and adrift. Throughout the solar system, Concordat vessels registered the impossible defeat of their command ship. One by one, they began to retreat, jumping to hyperspace with no coordination, no strategy, just pure survival instinct. On Earth, humans watched in disbelief as the alien blockade dissolved. Titan hung in orbit, damaged but triumphant, its dark hull now bearing the scars of battle. We've won, Chen's first officer said incredulously. This battle, Chen corrected. The war is just beginning. In the days that followed, Titan became a symbol, both to humanity and to the galaxy at large. As Earth began rebuilding, diplomatic channels reopened with the Concordat, not as supplicants, but as equals. The alien alliance had been forced to confront something their logical minds had never truly accepted, that unpredictability could be a strength, not merely a danger. 3 months after the Battle of Earth, Captain Chen stood in a new diplomatic chamber constructed in Earth orbit. Across from her stood representatives of the Concordat species, fewer than before, as some had withdrawn from the alliance following their defeat. We underestimated your species, admitted the Meridian ambassador, skin shifting through colors that indicated respect mixed with caution. A mistake we will not repeat. Nor will we underestimate the dangers of the galaxy, Chen replied. But we seek understanding, not domination. The terms of the peace were simple. Humanity would retain its independence and right to develop along its own path. The Concordat would share knowledge openly rather than in calculated parcels, and Titan would remain, a reminder of what happens when species resort to extinction rather than cooperation. As the diplomatic summit concluded, Chen returned to Titan, which now served as both Earth's primary defense and its research platform. In the neural core, she spoke with the hybrid consciousness that had helped save humanity. What do you see in our future? She asked the entity that was part human, part machine, part something entirely new. Possibility, the neural matrix replied, its synthesized voice thoughtful. The Concordat feared our unpredictability because they could not calculate our potential, but that same quality gives us infinite paths forward. Chen nodded, looking out at the stars through Titan's viewports. Humanity had almost been silenced forever. Instead, they had found their voice in the galaxy, not through conquest, but through the very adaptability and creative thinking that had made them targets. The stars no longer seemed cold and threatening, but filled with potential. Humanity would face new challenges, new species, perhaps even new conflicts. But they would face them on their own terms, with the knowledge that their greatest strength lay not in following established paths, but in forging new ones. And throughout the galaxy, when other species spoke of humans, they did so with a new awareness that sometimes the most dangerous evolutionary adaptation was the ability to imagine what had never existed before and then bring it into being.